Hey, what's up, guys? This is Doug with Outlaw Off-Road. You know, we get questions every day on topics ranging from sway bars to long arms and everything in between. And obviously, we've got answers to those questions. We answer them all the time, but we wanted to make a video series for you guys to get into those questions, answer those questions for you, give you the right information, help you cut through all the stuff that you may have seen, some of the bad information out there. So that's what we're going to do right here, right now. So let's get after it. Hey guys, welcome to episode 3 of Let's Get After It. On our first 2 episodes, we talked a little bit about how to select a lift kit. We talked about what you need to look for in a lift kit, kind of where to start, as those are kind of the most common questions of what we get. Today, episode 3, we're gonna dive a little bit more into the individual components, and we're gonna do that for the next few episodes. So today we're gonna go into shocks and coil springs, how they work together, what you wanna look for, what you wanna make sure that you're doing when you're looking at shocks and coils as part of an overall lift system. 2 main things to look at when you're talking about coils and springs. Number 1, and this is obvious, it should be yes, but you still want to make sure that you're doing this right, because I do see where people make this mistake. Make sure that the coil lift height, 2.5, 3.5 inches, 4, 4.5, whatever, is matched properly to the shock. So you don't want to have a shock that's built for a 4.5 inch lift kit and you're putting it on a coil that's made for 2.5 inches of lift. What that's going to do is it's just going to smush that shock down. You're not going to have any up travel. You're just going to hit on that shock all the time, and that's just because that shock was built for 4.5 inches of lift, but your coil is not putting that Jeep up high enough to utilize that shock travel. So make sure that you're getting a shock that is paired properly with the coil. Most companies, when you look at these shocks, are going to give you a range. And this is across all brands. Coils are going to be pretty specific on what their height is: 2.5 inches, 3 inches, 3.5 inches. Shocks then will be a range, and they do this. It's pretty easy why they do it. I mean, they do it so that you don't have to have one shock for every single application. When shock companies are making shocks, they want that shock to apply to as many lift kits as they can. Within reason, of course. So you might see a shock that says, oh, we're good for 2.5 to 3.5 inches, or 3.5 to 4.5, or what have you. Just make sure that your coil is within that range of that shock, and that's going to just help it perform. You want it to be able to cycle down. You also want it to be able to cycle up, and that's really important. Definitely off-road, but also on-road. You definitely don't want to hit a speed bump in the parking lot and your suspension bottoms out because you got the wrong shock. So just make sure those 2 things are paired together properly. The second thing you want to make sure is that the shock and the coil are made to work together. Not every coil is made the same. Not every coil is created equally. Not every shock can work with every coil. And it can get a little complicated here, but just keeping it simple, because we're only in episode 3 here. We'll get way more in depth in this in later episodes, but at the most simple level, you just want to make sure that the shock is designed to work with the given coil. If you've got a coil from brand A, maybe that company makes their own shock already. Great, go with that shock, not a problem. And there may be other shocks that work with that. And asking a professional, obviously we can help you with that, but any professional shop that knows their stuff should be able to help you with this. You don't want to put a shock that is valved to work with a linear rate coil with a multi-rate coil. It's not going to ride right. It's not going to do right. It's not going to act right. It's not designed to perform with that coil, and that coil is not designed to go with that shock. So, we won't get into brand specifics here. Obviously, we're going to avoid that, but just making sure that the coil and the valving of the shock are together properly. And again, that's something that we know about, and any professional should know about that. But it does make a big difference in ride quality on the road, for sure. It will make a difference at any kind of speed off-road, and just your overall comfort level. And if you're spending the kind of money that people are spending on lift kits, whether it's $1,000 or $10,000, really doesn't matter. You want the system to perform as it's designed to perform. And the way to do that, first and foremost, as we've talked about today, make sure that those coils and those springs are paired together properly. It's going to help you out a ton.